So I am so excited, Scotty.
Me too.
Because today with us, we have a queen.
A queen.
The queen.
Hello.
Of the ton.
Hello.
Okay? Miss Golda. Hello and welcome to Okay Now Listen.
Hey, girls. Good to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Is it all right to call you Golda? I feel like, it's so improper. She's the queen. What do I call her?
Yeah. You can call me Golda. You can call me Golda. Or what my brother calls me, Lady G. Lady G.
Lady G. I like that.
Yeah,
I like that. Oh, well, thank you so much for joining us today. We like to start every interview by asking, how's your heart?
Especially this episode.
Ooh, that's a good one. My heart is full.
I love that.
I can tell you that. It is full. The last couple of weeks since Bridgerton came out has been quite extraordinary. And to, match and beat what season 1 did, it's a blessing. Absolute. It's incredible. We have some amazing fans. We have some amazing people globally who are into the show. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, in terms of work, my heart is full. In terms of, my personal life, my heart is full. It's sunny here in London town.
Hey.
It's been sunny for a few days.
Look
so
at
yeah,
that.
I've been on.
Yes.
I love hiking and stuff. So I've been walking in nature. So yeah, I've been getting a full heart from all ends.
We love to hear it.
Wow, I love that. And you just mentioned, season 2. It's out in the world and has already, been binged by millions and sometimes twice, 3 times. I don't know how many times I've seen season 2 already.
Sometimes there's some scenes, especially
honey
in season
child,
1,
this
that
time
I had to run back.
I gotta go back.
Yeah.
And see
rewind.
I
Right.
caught everything, for reporting purposes.
Right.
Mhm.
Sure. Research. and all that.
Research.
Yes.
But yeah, seriously, go into depth of how you feel about the season being out and what you've been getting from that, as far as like, I'm sure people have been reaching out to you, have been saying like, this is the greatest season ever, and it's going to get greater, I'm assuming.
Yeah, coming off of season 1 and the extraordinary reaction that we had, I always describe the show as, we're it's a single mum who is trying to navigate the world that Bridgerton is in with her 8 kids. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
It's a real family-oriented show. And it was the same coming back in season 2. It was a real family. It was great to see everybody. It was great to kind of, get back on the horse, as it were. Excuse the kind of, the association and the pun, to kind of get back into these characters and to see where they're at and to see how they've, grown. And then, to put our kind of little baby out there into the world again. It was kind of like the second album coming out.
Yeah.
How
which is a tough one, because the sophomore album is always the tough one.
There's a curse.
You got it right.
Sophomore album curse. It's when you got to live up to the because at first you're surprising people.
Yes.
And then it's living up to expectations the second time around.
And you're kind of introducing all the characters in the first one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so now we're all established. We're all done. But I think the beauty of this show, and I think the thing that really fascinates me about this show, is that, yes, we are an ensemble and there is a core ensemble, but at the center of the show, there's a different romance story.
Right.
So in effect, we're coming to it new. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's kind of a new version of the kind of same thing, of the same umbrella. So in that respect, I think it was really exciting to put it out there and see how the audience reacted. And very blessed. And the numbers went through the roof in the first weekend. Yeah.
And this season, one of the things I really appreciated about this new season was that we really got to see the nuances to Queen Charlotte. You've talked a bit about the importance and excitement of playing a character that wasn't one-dimensional. What did you enjoy most about Queen Charlotte this season?
Well, I think there's a couple of scenes that I can really describe and talk about. The scene where the king comes in and there's other people in the room. And Edwina steps forward and speaks to him and calms him down. And, you know, that to me was such a beautiful scene to film, not only with my best mates, you know, Adjua and Ruth, but also, you know, wonderful Shelley, who played Mary Sharma, who I know, her husband was my husband on screen, on stage husband at one point.
So
I said, what you mean?
Hold on now.
No. Jonathan, her husband, we played husband and wife on stage. So I know Shelley. Mm-hmm. So it was just really great to have really strong, beautiful, gorgeous, empowering women around me as actresses. Yeah. But also the characters, you know, Lady Danbury, Mary and Edwina, and, you know, Mama Bridgerton, as I call Ruth, to have those characters in that one scene to really kind of show the heart of these, you know, really substantial, quite grounded women who are in control of the society, who are in control of the town. And this really vulnerable moment happens for the one character that's at the top of the food chain. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And to see them and to see her react accordingly, and that's a beautiful moment for me. And also the moment with the private moment with Edwina, the next scene that comes along.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
You know, where you me too. And Charitha is a magnificent actress. I cannot wait to see what she does in the future. She's extraordinary, and she's just starting in her career. So again, you have these two actresses, one starting at, you know, at the beginning of her career, and myself, who's veteran. You know, I've been around the block.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Ain't no problem.
Absolutely, no problem with that at all. But to kind of be with her, and also, you know, the characters. She's a new character coming into the town. I'm, you know, well established, and to just have this really vulnerable moment. And I never wanted it to be a kind of mother-daughter or a teacher-student. Mm-hmm. I wanted us both to kind of have, I don't know, a kind of, to be senseis, is how I described it. You know, for us both to learn from each other, and for us both to be equals in that moment.
I'm glad you brought up that moment, because I did want to ask just like one question to you as the human being now. That moment when Queen Charlotte it felt like a freeing, like you were freed from the need of entertainment, from distraction, and when love literally entered the room, when King George walked in. I have to give props to you, first of all. I mean, you know, you do this acting thing. You know what I'm saying? You do this. You do not play around. The girls know.
The girls know.
Okay?
Those who know. The
but,
girls are good at
you know, you ate that right the F up, okay? Your face went from a place of protection to passion. And there were stages of it. And I absolutely love that. So I wanted to ask you, the person, has love ever freed you from anything?
Oh, my God. Wow. That's a question. Yes, it has. I'm in love at the moment, deeply. And to admit that is freeing.
Okay, yes.
You know, to actually say, this is where my heart is. Yeah. And the fullness of that is something really, really special. And especially, you know, we all struggle, don't we, in relationships, to find that moment where we're all fulfilled, where we are fulfilled in love. It's a need, isn't it, for the human race to feel that, to have that. And to be able to be vulnerable with that person, with yourself, within that relationship, to be able to, I don't know, to see your flaws, to have flaws, and for your flaws to be held by another person who loves you, who you know loves you. So yes is the answer. I have definitely been freed, and I have freedom now.
Well, the Queen is such a one of the reasons why she's a favorite character, fan favorite character, is because she loves the tea, as do we.
I mean,
Both, both literally and all the gossip. Why do you think she
Yeah.
spends so much of this season wanting to know who Lady Whistledown is and when she also seems to enjoy her so much? Like, I think there's
Yeah.
like this cat mouse, like kind of like you see each other. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like to
Yeah.
quote Candy and
Yeah,
Nene
yeah.
and Housewives of Atlanta, like the Queen and Lady Whistledown see each other, even though that was kind of
Absolutely.
like a meeting of matches. So like, can you talk
Yeah.
about that dynamic?
Yeah, I mean, I think you knocked it on the head there. I mean, there definitely is a dynamic of who is this bitch?
mhm.
Do you know what I mean?
She
Like,
thinks she be. She run around like she pop.
what's coming? Yeah, like, who are you? How dare you? Who do you think you are? And but also, I think there's a real respect there. There's a real kind of sisterhood respect there, as you've just described.
Yeah.
And I think she's lonely as well. And I think the Ton society, Lady Whistledown really does, free her from the kind of shackles of her private life. And yeah, I think she rejoices in that. But I think she also, Nicola and I have had conversations about this. Like, when are we going to meet?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
When is it going to happen? And Nicola's very much of, I want to know the ins and outs and the future stuff. I'm very much of, I like to be surprised.
Okay.
And I think that's very much Charlotte's way as well. The surprise is everything. The surprise is food. The surprise is nourishment. So yeah, no, I long may it continue, I say.
I was going to say, too, like, I think it's also interesting, even with those last two questions, where it's kind of like for the Queen, love is kind of holding her down and keeping her shackled out of protection for her love. And then, like, in your personal life, it's freeing you. And I think that just even speaks to the range of what love can do, like, across the board.
Yeah, and I think not only is, Charlotte's love shackled, but in, Charlotte and George absolutely were passionate about each other. They are 15.
You can tell.
Do you know what I mean?
You can tell.
They are absolutely deeply connected.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that it's beautiful to play the pain, but yet the deep love, the deep longing, the deep history of passion that they have. And I hope that I get all those layers in those personal moments that you see. Yeah, it's great. I'm so blessed.
Yes, and I love that you brought up history. That Queen Charlotte is based on an actual queen. Mm-hmm. So what research did you do to learn more about the actual Queen Charlotte, if any?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, because I knew of Queen Charlotte. I knew of her. She is our only Black monarch, some would say. She was German, but descended of the Black line of the Portuguese royal family. So I knew of her. The interesting thing about our Queen Charlotte is that she is the Queen Charlotte of Bridgerton.
Okay, yeah.
So there's a difference, right. I think. So I didn't do much research on the historical Queen Charlotte, because that's not what we're doing. We're not doing a documentary. We're not doing a doco-series about her. Mm-hmm. We are placing this actual person of history into a fantasy. Mm-hmm. So my question was then, how does she relate to this fantasy world? How does she relate to the people within this fantasy world? So the scripts, for me, were the most important things to dissect and analyze, because Queen Charlotte's not in the books either. So I didn't read the books because I thought, again, there kind of wasn't any point. And I talked with the directors, I talked with Julia to just, kind of get their feel on it. And they were like, you're absolutely right. We need her to be of the world that we are creating for the series.
Right.
So in that respect, the scripts are the most important things for me.
We also know that congratulations are in order because it's officially been announced that the Queen Charlotte will be starring in a prequel spinoff of Bridgerton, and where we'll learn more about her early life. And I'm so excited because, like, just to what you speak, every time we get a glimpse of the dynamic of how she became to be there, it's like, I need to know more. I feel like this is a whole story. So I'm so excited that, you know, Shonda and Netflix have come together to create this prequel. What are you most looking forward to fans learning about Queen Charlotte through this spinoff?
Again, it's a really great question because we're still in the world of Bridgerton. We're not going anywhere else but in the world of Bridgerton. So you have Lady Danbury, a young Lady Danbury. We have a young Violet, a young Brimsley, a young Queen Charlotte. So, you know, I think it's really exciting to see how they all kind of came up in the world to be the people and characters that we see in Bridgerton. I think Shonda will dip into history a little bit because I think that's really interesting to bring that into the fantasy world.
Right.
So that's really exciting. I think that would be really interesting. There's a young King George, and I think that will be really interesting to see how he progresses to the king that we see in Bridgerton. You know, what happens to him, the journey of health, the journey of his physical health, his mental health. And I think, you know, all of those things are really amazing to investigate, you know, in a story, in a fantasy world like Bridgerton.
Listen, and Queen Charlotte, that's another thing. One thing about Queen Charlotte, she's going to take credit for the matchmaking that happens from season to season, honey.
Yes, she will.
All right?
Yes, she will. Yes, she will.
She's like,
no matter what happens.
Right. So she's
no
the one who
chooses
the diamond of the season. First of all, is Golda a matchmaker? Can Golda put the people together?
Oh God, I think I can, but I haven't seen it work yet, unfortunately. I always have these grand plans, do you know what I mean? Before my brother got married, I was always like, ooh, who can I put him with? You know, all of that. But he found his beautiful wife and on his own, so that's great. But yes, I always have kind of grand ideas and grand plans to kind of put mates together, but you know, I haven't succeeded yet.
What do you think are the key requirements for being a successful matchmaker? What do you think you need?
Ooh, well, that's a good one. I'm not sure. I mean, I watch all those, Netflix programs about you know, matchmaking and stuff, and I'm always like fascinated about how, you know, for me, I think it would be like, throw him in a room, lock the door, and see what happens.
Right.
They can figure it out on their
Chaos.
own. Yeah.
Also, this episode, we're talking about courting and building lasting relationships, which is like very much kind of like an underlying theme, not even underlying, a theme in Bridgerton. And we were wondering, what advice do you think Queen Charlotte would have for women looking for a partner? You know, if you were to maybe embody Queen Charlotte, because like back to our favorite scene, the advice that she gave, you know, the young bride in that moment about when do you, like, should I do it or shouldn't I? Like, I was just like, I want Queen Charlotte. Can I text Queen Charlotte and ask her some questions? Can I dial in? Because I too, Queen Charlotte, got some questions about how do you know?
Yeah, and you know, it is about experience. I think she would definitely have lots of experience to give advice on. Deep love has to come from a place of confidence, I think, but the confidence to be vulnerable, the confidence to put yourself out there and be open. Because remember, Charlotte, she arrived in England and literally the next day she was married. They'd never met each other before. And to then have this deep, immense connection with each other, I think there's, you know, it is to be celebrated. The vulnerability that I think you have to have in relationships to be able to be confident,
Yeah.
to be able to have the strength to hold hands and walk through the world together, no matter what.
Yeah. It's important.
Yeah.
There's a core, like, I guess that's why people speak to, like, friendship being important too when it comes to lasting love.
Yeah.
In the sense of, like, that's really your partner
and
through
communication.
it.
Communication.
Yeah.
Honest communication. You know, and for that other person to be able to hold you, to feel that you are held, no matter what.
The security of it, yeah.
The security of it, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So before we go, we love to play a game with you called Queen Approved. Okay.
Ooh,
We're going
I like
to
it.
list some famous couples, fictional and real.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you tell us if you think that Queen Charlotte would approve of the match.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Here we go.
I'm going to start off with a show that Scotty has never seen.
I have
But a
seen
lot
an
of people
episode.
may also know. It's called Friends. There's a small little
Friends.
show called Friends.
Yeah.
I think it came out sometime after Living Single, but before Girlfriends. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And there's a couple called Rachel and Ross on there that the people really go crazy about. What do you think Queen Charlotte would approve of Rachel and Ross?
Approve.
Approve. Okay.
Okay.
Scotty, give her the next one.
Listen, would Queen Charlotte approve Kermit the Frog and Miss Piggy?
I think she would approve
Yes.
because that's chaos personified there,
I
isn't
love
it? That's love chaos.
Right.
That's
personified.
definitely
my
Miss
girl.
Piggy definitely wears the pants in that
Hello?
relationship. Okay.
Yeah, she
right
does.
together.
She does.
Okay. Here's a real life one: Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck, who are back and engaged.
I know. You know, I love me some J-Lo. I love her. I love Ben. I was upset when it ended. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think Queen Charlotte would approve because they have gone away.
Mm-hmm.
They have learnt and
Lived.
had experience
Yeah.
and lived, and they have come back together to create a union. And yes, I think she would approve.
I
Okay.
love to hear it.
What about our fave, Rihanna and A$AP Rocky?
Now, I don't know much about ASAP, but I'm seeing from your
Charlotte wouldn't either.
faces. Yeah. I'm seeing from your faces that she might not approve.
Yeah. All right. Listen.
I just trying to look.
But I think she would sit quietly in a corner and watch.
And observe.
And that's
yes.
what we'll.
And
as are
observe.
we.
Yes.
As are we.
Yeah.
And that's all we're trying to do. We're trying to fill this one out, Golda.
You know, out of respect for our good sis
Please.
and our
Yeah.
soon-to-be born niece
No.
or nephew.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We just go sit in
exactly.
the corner and hope for the
Yeah, we're
best.
gonna sit and observe and observe.
Okay, here's a classic pairing: Romeo and Juliet.
Oh God, star-crossed lovers definitely approve. Definitely, even with the outcome, I think that is, true love personified. I think in her eyes, star-crossed lovers. Yeah.
Okay.
Speaking of star-crossed, go
What
ahead.
are you talking about, Jack?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
Jack and Rose from Titanic. Come on. Now you know, Golda.
Go ahead. I'm gonna let Golda speak first.
Yeah, go ahead, Golda, please, child. Jack would still be with us if it wasn't for Rose.
Don't do
I
that.
know, yeah. Sorry. I mean, yeah. No, she wouldn't approve.
Me neither.
We just want somebody for Jack who would make room for him on the door. Is that what it is?
Great.
Please.
We just want
Great.
somebody who loves Jack enough
to
make
some
room on the door.
Honey.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Lord. Listen, would Queen Charlotte approve Beyonce and Jay-Z?
Yes.
Yes, they would.
I think so.
Yeah.
You know.
Definitely. That's a bit. I think Queen Charlotte and King George. Do you know what I mean? That's like longevity.
Yeah.
That's longevity
Them
with all
building
its
an empire.
complications.
Yeah.
Exactly. The empire, all of that stuff. Yeah, definitely. I think she would approve.
Oh Lord.
Olivia
my
Pope,
God, what's next?
Olivia Pope and President Fitzgerald. Grant.
Okay, now here's a story for you.
Ooh,
Not to roll up the
rolling
sleeves.
up the sleeves for it.
So Olivia Pope was. So I did Othello.
Mm-hmm.
I played Othello on stage as a woman, and I watched Scandal all the way through my rehearsals and playing that part. So Olivia Pope was my Othello.
I see.
Olivia Pope, Kerry Washington being the first Black woman on primetime television. Is that right?
On network television in like decades, in like 30 years, 40 years since Diane Carroll.
Yeah, exactly. So I wanted to immerse myself in that series, in Olivia Pope, in Kerry Washington's portrayal of that character, because I felt that my portrayal of Othello as a woman just really coincided with that kind of how Olivia Pope navigated the kind of American political landscape, and how, you know, she kind of walked that line. So I was so invested in that couple. So I'm going to say definitely approve. Definitely approve.
You know, love is love.
Yeah, love is love.
That was a very.
But my relationship with that character and those characters in that show is deep. Is really deep.
No, I mean, I love Scandal.
It's personal,
yeah.
Okay, and if we're being a little risque, this is the last question. This is the
last one. We're going
a little razzle dazzle.
Mm-hmm.
Will and Jada. What would Queen Charlotte do?
Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith.
Oh, I think again that's longevity.
It is.
I think that's
one thing about
it. I think that's an approved one. That's longevity. That's J-Lo and, you know, Jay-Z. That's longevity. That's Black love. That's, you know, with all of the beautifulness that goes along with it. I think definitely. Yeah, they're up there with the longevity.
Yes,
love is definitely complex.
Yeah,
I think it has to be.
Yeah,
it has to be truthful. Do you know what I mean? You have to be true in love, and the complexity of love is true.
Yeah, and it only needs to be understood by the two people in it.
That's
and
it.
That's them. So hey, thank you so much for playing this game with us.
Oh my God, joy.
We enjoyed talking to you so much.
Thank you so much for sitting with us, Golda. We're gonna end it here.
Thanks
because
for having
I think you singing joy at the end
is what we need.
Is what we take us out. That'll take us out.
Yeah, baby. Joy.
Oh, well, one more question, Golda. One more question.
Yeah.
What have you manifested this week?
Health, I think, is a big one.
Yeah, it's important.
For me, learning my lines, putting it out there.
You know what I mean?
Getting the gray cells going. I think that would be that's a good question. I'm gonna go away and think about that.
Yeah.
That's a nice one to take away. Thank you so much.
Yes,
Yeah.
Something to manifest this week.
I hope everybody does.
Exactly.
Yeah, you definitely brought joy to this podcast today. Thank you so much for sitting with us, Golda. Can't wait to see everything else that you're going to do this year, next year, years to come.
I'm coming for you.
Hello.
I'm coming for the world.
On your head top, okay?
Yeah.
So, I can't wait. And we'll definitely speak again.
Yeah. Thanks.
I'd love to.
All
Thanks,
right.
girls.
Thank you.
Thanks, ladies.